Hello. Are we working? Are we live? Take two. Does this work? Apologies for the first stream there. Every time I change locations, my computer software breaks. I don't understand why. I don't know what I'm not a developer. I don't know why it does this, but things don't load, things don't fire. Anyways, I'm here now. It's been a minute, so cheers. Welcome in, everybody, to the stream. Good morning if it's morning for you. Trying a new time slot here. We're doing the, it was supposed to be the morning open, but we're a little bit late for the morning open, but we're going to talk about Bitcoin, we're going to talk about Ordinals, and we're going to talk about crypto. So do we really care about the stock market open? All it really does is add some liquidity, some fuel to the fire for the week to come. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly chart on Bitcoin, because we got a beautiful, beautiful weekly candle here. I'll explain the ordinal winter thing in just a moment. But yeah, let's focus on the weekly candle here. This is a hammer candle, beautiful, or even a dragon stone doji. I don't really know. Like, don't quote me on that one. But the important thing to recognize is you have a small body. So this is a doji. You have a small body with wicks. And where are the wicks? The wicks are on the bottom. This is showing demand. This is showing the ability for price to go up. The bears tried to bring the price down, and the bulls showed up to bring it back. So it's a really healthy candle. Now, I will say that we are also underneath the 7 EMA. So for a healthy alphanumerics and black box trend, price does need to be on top of the 7. It needs to be on top of the 7. So that is a point for the bears. There is a point for the bears here that we are now under, confirmed under, and still under for the last 2 weeks, potentially even 3 weeks. We'll see how this candle closes. It just opened, so we've got a lot of time to trade under this candle. But yeah, if we continue to stay under the 7, it will likely mean that we need to come down and test some of the lower levels, which the next target here on the weekly would be $34,000 here at the 30 moving average. And this is, let's give another point to the bears here and talk about the monthly. Monthly's not great. Monthly's not great from a candle point of view. This is a big rejection. There's a lot of wick on top of this monthly candle, but point for the bulls. Alphanumerics is flashing a bullish signal. Keep in mind, we are talking about the monthly chart. If I say something is bullish on the monthly chart, that doesn't mean that we can't dump 30%. It just means that, in my opinion, the bull market is getting ready for price acceleration. The most exciting time in the market is coming. It is coming very soon, in my opinion. In the next in the next 1 to 3 months, we may be experiencing some pretty powerful rallies. And based off of this monthly chart, we can go back and take a look in the past as to what has happened every time we've gotten this bullish cross. Bullish cross here. Now, we did have the COVID situation that kind of stifled it, but I do believe that this marked the point in the market where the bull market continued. Also, from a cycle perspective, and we'll get into cycle comparatives in just a moment, this is not, we're not really following the same roadmap as the 2017 to 2020 price cycle, the accumulation cycle. But, this is a bullish signal that did end in a lower result. But we go back even further, and this is the cycle that I do think we are mimicking quite similarly, in the sense that we have this very short bottoming pattern coming up to a new support and resistance, getting this monthly phantom candle and the bullish cross. This is what I think is a little bit closer to what we're going to experience. So as you can see, the bullish cross did mark the point at which we saw a price acceleration here, and quite a substantial price acceleration. I actually think, and I'm not alone in this, I actually think that this cycle is very similar to kind of this 2014 to 2017 accumulation period. I think we have a lot of similarities. Let's actually go over to a smaller time frame here. Let's go to the daily, and let's go on to the log chart. Turn off alphanumerics just for a moment because we don't need it. this is what I see as our cycle. So if we kind of, just for fun, grab the cycle and pull it over to where we are now, we can kind of get some interesting metrics here. We gotta not cheat. Let's bring that down a bit. Nope. That would bring us up to a price of around $500,000, which is in line with my target of anywhere from $400,000 to $1 million for this cycle. This price target would hit in May of 2025. That is under the context that we are trading a similar cycle. Now, if you look at it, there are a lot of similarities. If we kind of move this out a little bit, we can see a lot of similarities here. Let's actually go to a 3-day chart. Now, the drawdown is not similar at all. The drawdown is not similar at all, but the accumulation period is very similar. You have this double bottom formation. One bottom, two bottom. You can see that on the price here. One bottom, two bottom. We had a pretty violent and unexpected move out. Right here, up to a resistance, a well-defined resistance, where we were trapped under the resistance for several months. We've done that. We were trapped under this resistance for several months. We got a pop. This pop correlates with this pop here, which I'm calling ordinal winter. And if we continue along this, you know, we could trade sideways through the halving. As you can see in this cycle here, we did get a drop down. So this is what I'm talking about. The monthly time frame, that monthly candle that we spoke about, is a point for the bears. And we could see some negative price action. But big picture, macro, we're still in a bull market. Not only are we in a bull market, but we are entering the acceleration phase of a bull market. So I wouldn't worry too much. I will, however, caution people against high amounts of leverage and tight stop losses. Both of those are kind of the same thing. But do be careful out there if you are trading futures contracts, especially because we're going into a very significant weekly close. We're going into a very significant monthly close. There's going to be volatility. So at this point, it's not shooting fish in a barrel. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of chop both up and down. So do exercise an abundance of caution out there if you are using leverage. But if you're spot and chilling, you are killing it. It has been a really, really good place to be thus far, which is typical of phase one of the bull market. We're getting into phase two of the bull market, the acceleration phase. Phase one is accumulation and chop to the upside, accumulation and chop to the upside. Okay, now a lot of people have been asking me, why am I putting my cycle top back here as opposed to the all-time high? And that's a very good question, and I will tell you why. The reason that I am putting the cycle top at the first high back in April and not at the second high, which is the actual all-time high, is because I believe this entire move was a dead cat bounce. When you're looking at the cycles, what you need to take into consideration is the accumulation is when smart money collects Bitcoin. And then the distribution is when smart money sells their Bitcoin to retail, okay? And you can tell this from volume. So if we turn on the volume here on the index chart, you can see that the highest, like, I'll just highlight it right here. All of the volume happened here. You can see all of the volume happened here. Huge volume spike, and even a little bit more here. Yeah, these two big volume spikes. All of the volume happened here. Look at over here. Nothing. No volume at all. No volume at all. This was derivatives markets. This was FOMO. This was morons piling on leverage and taking on too much debt to buy Bitcoin. But the whales already sold. This was just the market moving. Yes, it made a new all-time high, and that's the first time a cycle has ever seen a dead cat bounce that created an all-time high. But from a cycle perspective, that's what we're looking at here. So All right, let's do some comparative analysis to the local range, the short term, as a bullish potential, as a bullish possibility. And that's what this Ordinals winter thing is all about. So let me go ahead and pull that up. I'm actually going to do a side-by-side here. Ordinal winter over here. Let's turn Alpha Numerics on. Alpha Numerics is the trading strategy that we use to program our bot, Black Box. If you guys don't already know, go ahead and start a new account. It is free to get a bot that will trade Bitcoin for you. Buys the bottoms, sells the tops. Never miss a move again with Black Box. Actually, since we're on the page, we may as well log in. Let's take a look here. Info at blackbox.pro. Oh, we will not log in. We will not log in. We could log in with the, we go over here. There we go. So we put about $4,800 into this bot, something like that, $5,000. Somewhere around there into the Tether bot. Capital in use is now nearly $7,500. So the USDT bot is accumulating us more Bitcoin. We just recently added some Bitcoin into this bot. We're not throwing a ton in it at it. We want to show you guys the power of compounding. If we just threw, you know, a Bitcoin at this, that's not really achievable for a lot of people. It's very hard for people to even get one coin. So we wanted to make it relatable. And so we're showing you that small trading balances can turn into large balances. It hasn't happened yet because compounding has a compounding effect. And we're only 7 trades in here with Black Box. But yeah, we're up. We're up. Things are looking good. Congrats to all the Black Box users out there. This will only get better as trades compound. We started with 5K. We got 7,500 now. That's a good compounding return. All right. Yes. So the comparative analysis. Where is it? All right. We're going to go back to DeFi summer. So this was the previous cycle. And there are a lot of similarities to the Ethereum DeFi summer and the Bitcoin ordinal winter. So the first thing to note is kind of where they are in their price cycle, which I will show you after. I'll show you their placement in the cycle of time. So like, you know, from peak to peak or low to low, where they sit in the cycle, they're in the exact same spot. Why that's important is humans are pretty much the only constant in the markets. You know, there are news events that can fluctuate the day to day, but human sentiment is pretty standard in the sense that, you know, humans get hurt financially, humans recover financially, humans hate, you know, certain asset classes because they got hurt, and then they love them because they're not getting hurt anymore. So the emotional side of trading over a large data set is very solid information. It's very applicable information, and it often, not always, but often will translate to time and price action over time. You will see the sentiment shift as the market, you know, repairs its emotional damage from the bear market and gets ready for the next phase of the bull market. But let's go over some of these similarities. First of all, the rising wedge. So you have the rising wedge formation with an upthrust or a fake out breakout on top of the formation. What do we have over here? We have a rising wedge with an upthrust fake out breakout. Then we came down, broke through the whole channel, and had a bearish test, which brought us down a total percentage point of negative 21%. Okay, we had the upthrust, the fake out breakout, break all the way through the rising wedge, get a bearish retest of the rising wedge, and come down. A total of 21.23. That is pretty close. That is pretty close. That's a very interesting point to make note of, is the downside reaction. So we have a lot of similarities thus far. So what can we decide as far as a possible outcome? We're still bearish. Like I said, the bot's short, we're bearish. But as a bullish possibility, what can we be seeing in the short term? Well, we have a rally up into the moving averages. This is the 50 and the 30 moving average. We had a rally up to the 50 and the 30 moving average. Here we are today with a rally up to the 50 and the 30 moving average. And that rally, again, went up 11% in today's terms. And in the Ethereum DeFi summer, also went up about 13%. So a little bit more, but still kind of in that range. And this rally could continue. We could go up to 13% and, lightly clear the EMAs a little bit, which would bring us up to, about 43.5, somewhere around there. So if we are to do that, then the next assumption would be a rejection from the EMAs. We would get a rejection from those EMAs and form a double bottom. So that's what I want you to look out for moving forwards. Keep in mind, we have the bearish bearish monthly close coming. We have a bearish signal on alphanumerics saying that the wave is red. We're now bearish. Momentum has slowed. So there are bearish things to look at. But in the event that we create a double bottom, you need to submit to the fact that that might be the low and we continue. Now, if it plays out the same way that it played out back here in DeFi summer, it's not going to be just, double bottom and take off. There will be a slow period of accumulation, and then that will begin acceleration. In the event that this is what plays out, in the event that this is what occurs, we get that double bottom, little bit of an accumulation, and then acceleration. That's the time to have full exposure, in my opinion, because what happened after that was the full-blown pandemonium bull market where it just went up fucking only for months and months, okay? So in the event that that's what you see, not financial advice, but we will be fully allocated to the market at that point. So do watch out. Watch out for that double bottom. Watch out for that accumulation, ideally through the halving. The halving is the other thing that's coming up, so once we trade sideways through that halving, we're going to likely see price acceleration, which will lead to an all-time high break, which will lead to a full-blown bull market. So those are the things that I'm watching out right now. Let's catch up with the chat real quick. Okay. Bald Squirrel, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome in. Okay, hello Blue. I know you're bullish on ordinals. My question is, what is Track and from where can I buy it? The best place to buy Track, and I say the best because there's two ways to buy it. The best way to buy Track is to download the ordinals, is to download a ordinals wallet. I use Unisat. You can use Xverse, and then you can purchase Track as a BRC-20 token on the Unisat website. So you go to Marketplace, go to Trending in BRC-20. It's always trending. Go to Track, and you would purchase any of these packages. You don't get to choose how much you buy. The seller gets to choose how much they sell. So this first one, it's 1,000 Track. It'll cost you $5,000 to buy this package. This one's going to cost you $6,200 to buy this package. This one's going to cost $5,200 to buy this package. It's not until you get over to 500 that you have an offer for 2,600 to buy 500 track. Now, this is the best place to buy track because you're going to actually own the BRC-20 token. You're going to actually not have to worry about your airdrop because there is the tap airdrop coming to track holders, and you're going to be in custody of your funds. You know, not your keys, not your coins. We talk about this all the fucking time. So it is the best place to buy it, but the easiest place to buy it would probably just be OKX. So if you go to OKX, OKX has track. I actually have a link in the description for OKX. If you want to support the channel, follow my link, or you probably already have an OKX account. But go to OKX. It's a centralized exchange, which means you don't own your funds. The exchange owns your funds, but it is the easiest place to buy track. So there's the best place and the easiest place. You know what? That's a good little segue into track. Let's take a look at track. Okay. We're doing very well on track. From the original call, we are up 1,300%. We'll call it 1,400%. 1,400% on track. So congrats to those that were in the VIP group. If you want access to the VIP group, it is free. You just have to prove to us that you are one of our affiliate traders. Once we get your UID and confirm that you have made some deposits and you are using our bot, you get free access to the Signals group where we have been fucking killing it. The bot does well. Our group does well. We're just fucking killing it. What are some other things that we've done obscenely well on sats? I mean, fucking 49,000%. No, 4,900% on sats. Ron has been doing really well lately. Shout out to those who got into the Ron trade. That's up about 220%. The alts are so shitty compared to ordinals. The ordinals are just it's hilarious to make these comparisons. Like, yes, 227%. That's an amazing fucking trade. That is an amazing trade. We have done some really good calls, but then you compare it to our ordinal calls, and we're thousands of percent up. It's hilarious. Guys, if you're not in ordinals, please, I've been banging this drum for fucking months. You can go back and check my earlier videos. It's been a long time, almost a year now, that I have been yelling, like, get into ordinals, get into ordinals. Ordinals are the play for this cycle, period. End of story. It doesn't matter the fucking entries. We are in the part of the market cycle where it doesn't matter. There's a lot of forgiveness. Ordinals, BRC-20 tokens, potentially runes. We'll see what happens with that, but definitely BRC-20 tokens. Yeah, it's been insane. The ordinal gains have been absolutely insane. But yeah, where was I? Yeah, let's go back to sats. No, back to track. And let's look at some structure. Let's turn alphanumerics on. If Bitcoin takes a little bit of a dump here, then we could be looking at a new trading range. Let's actually get our P&L out of the way here for a second. We could be looking at some sort of a trading range that develops. If this is, if we look at this from a Wyckoff, don't need that. Need this. If we look at this, it's kind of like a Wyckoff trading range. We could bounce around in here for a bit as Bitcoin trades through the halving. I could see a lot of other assets trading through the halving. And then as soon as we're on the other side of the halving, we'll probably continue our upwards momentum. But track's looking really healthy. Another project that we got in very early, we actually minted these things, so we paid nothing. We just paid minor transaction fees, was Bitmaps. And Bitmaps is the play, in my opinion. A lot of people ask me, what do I think the best ordinal project is in the space? And my answer is always Bitmaps. I think Bitmaps are I can't say for sure, but I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised to see these get to 0.1 BTC, which seems crazy. I know. That would be an insane market cap. That would be by far the largest metaverse project that has ever existed in the space. I know it sounds crazy, but because of the supply and because of specifically what's going to happen is we're going to see this mania phase with bitmaps where you're going to get block drops. People love airdrops. They love airdrops. And if you can get access to guaranteed airdrops, and we're not talking about like just mutant apes and bored apes and shit, like new token protocols, new DeFi protocols, new metaverse tokens, like all of these things are going to come out on bitmaps, and you're going to be allowed to hold the bitmap. So, and what's going to be interesting about that is if you are a bitmap holder and you don't claim your bitmaps, meaning that you don't claim the block drops, well, now you're just building value into the bitmap. So now people can go to the marketplace, they can look at your bitmap and they can see, oh shit, this bitmap actually comes with this coin, that coin. It comes with all of its airdrops. And the FOMO and mania of the top of the cycle is going to have people thinking in their head that this is worth 0.1 BTC, at least. It's not going to be worth that much. Like the bitmap itself, as what it represents as land on the metaverse, is not worth that much. But the associated value or the applied value with the expectation of return on the underlying tokens that are just sitting on the bitmap is going to have people really price these things much too high. They're going to go into a mania. So for me, my number one pick, obviously I'm biased because, you know, I've minted a lot of these things, but my number one pick in the whole ordinal ecosystem is Bitmap. And the market agrees with me. So from a TA point of view, this has held up better than any other ordinal project. Not only has it held up, but anytime there's positive sentiment in the market, Bitmap moves first. That's what we call a market leader. You have to make note and follow the market leaders. We have a few of them. Solana is a market leader. Injective Protocol is a market leader. Bitmap is a market leader. Track has been holding up well, but it hasn't been the first one to move when there's positive sentiment. There's a lot of market leaders out there, and Bitmap, as far as what I've seen, seems to be the first mover on any positive sentiment. And this is a fantastic play. I wish I could, let's draw a few lines on here. So, we're looking at a trading range around this level. And again, we can paint, a similar range as we trade through the halving. And once we get into the halving, once this thing breaks out again, it's going to impulse quite aggressively, just like it impulsed here. So, this move back here, this was a 3,000% move. If we did that again, which I think it can, as ridiculous as that sounds, I think it can do another 3,000%. Oh, gonna have to have a bigger screen here. No way, if this lines up to 0.1, that'll be hilarious. 3,000% is nearly 0.1. So this is what I'm talking about. These things will probably get pretty close to 0.1. Not financial advice. Nothing's here. I'm just some dude fucking paying miners on the Bitcoin protocol. All I'm doing is supporting the network. You guys can do with that what you will. Do your own research, because you're in the trenches if you are in ordinals. This is broken shit that is hard to manage. If all you've ever done before is trade on centralized exchanges, you're in for a wake-up call when you start trading ordinals, because there is a lot of technical knowledge that you need to understand, which is a great segue to invite you into the Discord. Come into the Discord. It's free, okay? There's a free side where we will help you, and there is a free alpha side, which we will gladly support all of your ventures in this space. All that we ask is that when you trade on a centralized exchange, that you please do your part to support our work and you trade on one of our partner exchanges. That's it. That's the whole deal. You got to trade somewhere. So that's all that we ask, but we're here to support. Okay. Let's catch up with the chat here. When you buy those bitmaps, taking into account possible Bitcoin drop, but also the possibility of airdrops. Yeah, so I do think that the price, the US dollar price of Bitcoin will not affect the SAT price of bitmaps. Much like we saw in the previous cycle with Ethereum, you know, this is how Bored Apes got to 100 ETH, you know, because people stopped thinking about the fiat. They didn't think, oh shit, a Bored Ape's $150,000. I don't want to pay $150,000 for a Bored Ape. They thought, fuck, if I put 50 ETH into this, maybe I could get 100. So the association of that, you know, it was from people, it was from smart money, just speculating in the short term. And I see the exact same thing because there's a lot of liquidity in BTC. And when you have traders thinking in sats as opposed to dollars all the way up through the bull cycle, they'll look at a Bitmap, they'll look at the underlying token drops that you can get from them, and they'll be like, yeah, 0.1, that makes sense. And they don't care what the price is. So I do expect a similar sort of thing with that. Let's take a look at some TAP tokens, then I'll catch up with the chat again. Let's take a look at NAT, NAT tokens, another one that we have called. We've made a ton of money on NAT tokens. Pure alpha. If you are in trading groups and you aren't 100x up, then come to our free group where we will get you 100x up. I gotta be careful. Sorry, I'm excited. I'm excited because this has been like, we have the keys to the kingdom for this cycle here. We've been doing extremely well. Past performance does not indicate future results, but we have been killing it. Nats looks like it wants to do a breakout right here. This demand candle right here with this accumulation looking for a breakout. These charts are so ridiculous, but you know, Nat is looking like it's ready for a breakout here. If we get above 330 sats per Nat, I wouldn't be surprised if we continue. No, not 330 sats per Nat. It's 0.0000330 sats per Nat. It's an incredibly low supply. You can buy billions of these things. People like to buy billions of tokens and dream that it'll go to $1. That's a pretty common narrative, especially for newcomers coming into the space. And as we enter phase 2, you're going to have newcomers coming into the space, and they're going to have those dreams of buying NAT tokens and seeing them go to $1. It won't. But yeah, this was an incredible play. Another one that we finally have a chart for, so I can actually start talking about it. But this was probably our biggest, and it came out of nowhere. If anybody minted the GIB token, you're welcome. This one did, like, I don't even know, unfathomable amounts. Like, what did it do? It did a ridiculous return. It did, like, it did over 1,000x. Over 1,000x. Like, stupid return on GIB. So congratulations to anybody that minted GIB, because it was extraordinary how high this one went. And it came out of nowhere. Like, Benny, the dev, just said, hey, here's the thing. It will probably do nothing. And I think that was the key, is that he said, here's the thing. This will probably do nothing. Some people were like, well, fuck, I want nothing. And they just minted these things. And then when it finally hit the market, there wasn't enough holders. And there was such a low supply because 600 million of these tokens actually got burned, which was like 90% of the supply. 90% of the GIB supply was burned. And so the price was just insane. It just moved up so quickly. So congrats to anybody that minted GIB. I'm sorry I didn't shill it harder in the group, but like I said, it was presented very poorly. It was like, just, you know, here's a thing that'll do nothing. Go ahead and mint it. So I should have maybe thought that would be something. But anyways, some of you minted it and you're welcome. All right, let's catch up with the chat. Without you, I would not have gotten track at 29 cents. You're very welcome, Indy. You've been in the group for a long time. We really appreciate you, Indy. Come say hi more often. Sats and Ordi is a buy now. We can take a look at Sats in just a moment. FYI, video is granular, hard to see the text on the charts. My apologies. I might have to stop streaming. I'm supposed to be in this location. I don't even have a good office. I'm sitting on a fucking couch here with a little coffee table. I've got a terrible setup here, so I might actually have to start uploading videos. Let me know, guys, in the comments or in the chat if you're experiencing the same thing. If the stream quality is going to be too poor, then I might just have to upload videos as opposed to do these live streams. I do like chatting with you guys live, so I would prefer to do it live. But yeah, you got to do what you got to do. Yo-Yo is Bcash also a market leader? Yeah, we can take a look at that. There is an interesting narrative with all Bitcoin forks, because as a result of ordinals, you're going to see the fees get fucking crazy. Like nothing that you've ever seen. I think the highest we've ever seen a Bitcoin fee is like $75. You're going to see the fees get to hundreds of dollars, maybe even over $1,000 at the peak of the cycle. And what's going to come along with that is Bitcoin's broken. We can't use the chain anymore. You have to go to Bitcoin Cash. You have to go to Bitcoin SV. You have to go to Litecoin. You have to go to this one. You have to go to that one. It's going to be a solid narrative. So some of those plays, some of the Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV and Litecoin and any of those Bitcoin competitor chains, they're definitely going to have a leg to stand on to get the crowd excited. So I wouldn't be surprised if those do well in the context of Bitcoin ordinals killing Bitcoin. So yeah, expect that. And we'll take a look at the chart in just a moment. We'll take a look at Sats, then we'll take a look at Bcash. When would you start selling bitmaps? As soon as we get the sell signal on Bitcoin. So we have an all-in-one strategy. You know, as soon as Blackbox sells the top of the market, which it's not going to get the tippy top, but it's going to let us know that, hey, the market cycle's very likely statistically concluded. We will get that signal and I will be offloading bitmaps. So it's out of my hands. It's whatever the strategy tells me to do. Bitcoin approaching the local point of control. We'll take a look at that. Why does somebody want nothing? I have no idea. But they wanted it a lot because it was an ordinal, basically. People are making so much money in ordinals. Oh, you have nothing? I want that. I definitely want that. Most of the people want something. Yeah, most of the people want something, but most of the people end up getting nothing. 99.999% of crypto is bullshit. Completely bullshit. And even when they tell you that it's not bullshit, they might believe that it's not bullshit. It ends up being bullshit because what they're doing can be done on Bitcoin. And it's like money, right? Like if you think about the internet, what does most of the internet do? It collects dollars, or it collects your local fiat currency. It collects euros. It collects Thai baht, whatever. The internet is used to collect a currency. You don't need a different coin for every single app. You don't need a different coin for every single service. You don't need a different coin for every single thing. What you need is apps that collect Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the currency of the internet. You might have specific applications outside of that, but for 99.99% of projects, what they should do is use the Bitcoin token. But they don't because they're greedy, and look at what's happening. People can make stupid amounts of money off of nothing. So even when people think they have something, they usually end up with nothing. All right. Bald Squirrel saying, gravy. The stream has been solid for me. Video looks good for me. Suggest changing settings, video quality. Microphone quality is good, but only when you speak. There's a weird noisy sound. Oh, interesting. Okay. Saxy Crypto Lifestyle. Thoughts on Ordiswap? We'll see. Ordiswap is launching on Ethereum. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's just not something that is really... Wait, you're talking Ordiswap. I always get those two confused because there's Ordiswap and then there's Ordswap. Ordiswap, I think, is done. You'll have to post a link so I can take a look because I actually don't know what's going on with Ordiswap. While you do that, I'm going to take a look at Sats and I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin Cash. So why don't we do that? Put our P&L back. So I still think Sats. So there's two things going on. Okay. This is the support level. This is the support level. I wouldn't be surprised if price goes down to the support level. That being said, when an asset class is very bullish, it usually hovers on top of support levels. So it doesn't necessarily have to go there. The other thing to make note of is here on the daily, we have a green diamond. This is a buy signal. And that buy signal, by the way, has been very profitable thus far. If you bought the close on that buy signal, you're currently up 30%. So it was a good buy signal. I don't think, because Bitcoin's going to trade sideways, or because I expect Bitcoin to trade sideways, or maybe even head to the downside, I think a lot of other alts, ordinals included, are going to follow suit on that. So I think, for best case scenario, it's going to do a very similar move to what we are expecting with some of the other BRC-20 tokens. So that means, a bit of a trading range, maybe even down to the wick, where we trade sideways a bit, and this can change. If Bitcoin starts rallying, hey, everything's going to rally. But if it's trades sideways, I expect everything to trade sideways. So yeah, it's that's just what I'm expecting. So we could continue and form a base up at a higher level than this support level back here. Like I said, when assets are bullish, meaning that a lot of people like them, they typically don't allow them to hit support levels. So we could just create a new base at a higher level. Sats looks great to me. This is another project where the supply is very high, so people can get a lot of nothing. They can get a lot of tokens. It's a memeable supply. It's a meme coin with utility, which I honestly, you don't see that too often. You don't have a meme coin launch with utility. So that's kind of interesting. It is the BRC-20 pegged pair for the Unisat BRC-20 swap protocol. So that's interesting, and it's got a really good holder count. When you have high volume and high holder count, those are good metrics to follow when looking at BRC-20 tokens and TAP tokens and NAT tokens. Like NAT, the first NAT token has an obscene holder count. I think that one's going to do really well. But Sats is another one that I think Sats actually has the best holder count in all of the BRC-20 tokens. So, it's safe bets. Those are safe bets. This bull cycle has the feeling of retail having more chance to win again. It was as it was back in the old days. Last cycle, it was just VCs fucking everyone. I couldn't agree more. The Saxy crypto lifestyle. I agree 100%. So it sounds to me like you were around during the 2016-2017 cycle, which I was as well. And what did we have for altcoin pairs back then? You had to trade the SAT pairs. So no matter what you did, you needed to buy Bitcoin. And this last cycle was a lot of insider trading, venture capital, and we also had a lot of tether. Not that tether's a bad thing, it just reduces the demand for Bitcoin. What's nice about this cycle is that the ordinal space doesn't have a stable coin. And I don't think it will have a stable coin. I think we're going back to grassroots altcoin trading where you have to buy Bitcoin if you want exposure to these things. Obviously, there's going to be exposure on the centralized exchanges, but that still drives demand on the decentralized exchanges because as soon as there's an arbitrage opportunity between the exchange and the DEX, you're going to have arbitrage traders correct that imbalance. So it's going to drive a lot of demand for Bitcoin. Not only is it going to drive a lot of demand for Bitcoin because of the ordinal space, the supply is in a decline for the first time ever for the first time ever, available supply for trade on exchanges has been in the downtrend since 2020. It has never happened. We have never experienced a cycle that has had this much of a decline. There's no Bitcoin to trade. There's like 12% of the supply available to trade. Last cycle, it was 20% of the supply. So if the same amount of money from last cycle goes into this cycle, we're actually going to get twice as big of a price advance. Let that sink in. If the same amount of capital injection goes into Bitcoin from the previous cycle, which was stifled, as you bring up, this was a stifled rally for Bitcoin. If the same amount of capital goes in, it's going to rise twice as much because of the available supply. There's only half the amount of supply. But we have a Bitcoin narrative-driven cycle. We have Bitcoin fundamental demand. We have Bitcoin ordinals, where the trading pair is sats. It's going to be a very interesting cycle, and I've said it many times, and I'm not afraid to say it again. This is the cycle where we break the Bitcoin is in diminishing returns bullshit narrative. We're going to see the diminishing returns narrative quashed this cycle. Guarantee it. All right. Love all the minting. I can see and hear well. Okay, cool. Let's try and find Ordies. Actually, let's keep with our promise and go take a look at Bcash. And we got to go to the higher time frames for this. So this is doing exactly what we talked about last time when we were looking at Bitcoin Cash. I said it had just flashed its sign of strength. Bitcoin Cash actually looks fucking strong, guys. I hate to say it. You know, I'm a Bitcoin maxi at heart. I'm a network maximalist at heart. I hate to say it, but Bitcoin Cash actually looks like it's doing quite well. It's in a very healthy state currently. And if we break out of this, let's just turn alpha metrics off for a second so that you can see it very clearly. This is the trading range to watch. And this is an upwards accumulation. This is a very strong trading range. Not only is it an upwards accumulation, but it's got a divergence on the RSI, which means nobody's paying attention to it. As soon as you break out of this, it's going to go full on. Not financial advice. I won't be taking this trade. I won't. You can't take everything. I think this is a good setup. I think ordinals are better, so I'm going to stick with ordinals. But if you are inclined to take Bitcoin Cash, this is one that looks great. It looks solid, and it's going to have a really solid narrative. It's going to have a solid narrative because Bitcoin will be broken 100%. That is going to be the end of the cycle narrative. Bitcoin's broken. They're even going to say that that's why we dumped. When the bear market comes in, they're going to say, oh, Bitcoin died, so we killed the market. It can't scale, and it's going to be a bloody bear market because of the fundamentals of what's going on with Bitcoin. But anyways, Bitcoin Cash is going to do very well, I think, based off of this setup here. This is a pure, beautiful Wyckoff setup here. We've got our sign of strength right into our SOS, or right into our backup phase. And as long as we can hold inside of this box, we're good. Even if we come out and hit the top of this box, so if you hit 156, you're still good. We're right in the middle of the range right now, so a new entry here does run the risk of a downside move to probably 188. But yeah, this looks great. You know, it looks really good. Let's take a look at it on the Bitcoin pair. So BTC, Bcash. No, Bcash, BTC. Again, I'm not going to take that trade. I just want that to be clear right off the bat so that when you guys are in the group later and you ask me, hey, did you take the Bitcoin Cash trade? The answer is going to be no. Why? Too many things. You got to keep your positions. You got to keep your portfolio small. The whole market's correlated. Bitcoin, same thing. Like it hasn't won you any Bitcoin. We're right back to basically the same levels it was during accumulation. So it's not making you any sats just yet. It's not making you any sats just yet. But given the fiat pair, I think that this chart can turn around and you might see an outperformance of Bitcoin Cash in Bitcoin terms, which will mean that Bitcoin holding Bitcoin Cash is stacking you sats, which is what everybody wants. You got to stack sats. Okay, let's go try and find Ordiswap, I guess. Ordiswap. I need a refresher because there's Ordswap, and that one is fucking me up here. Yeah, see, there's it is Ordiswap. Ordswap is done. That's what it is. Okay, so this is what I think. This is Ordiswap. I am not a fan. And the only reason that I'm not a fan is that they're launching the token on Ethereum. Not that there's anything wrong with that, other than the fact that it's counter to the narrative and it's counter to where the money's being made. Every single Bitcoin project that has launched on Ethereum so far has failed. And that's it. You know, I'm just analyzing the market as it presents itself in real time. And every single Bitcoin ordinal project that has launched on Ethereum has failed thus far. That doesn't mean that that can't change. And it doesn't mean that it won't change. It absolutely can change. But until it changes, I'm going to assume that this project won't do well. Until that changes. So that's my only thing with Ordiswap is that it's launching on Ethereum. It will have a stable coin called BTSD. Yeah, and they can really only do that on Ethereum. So I'm understanding why they're launching on Ethereum. It's just we've seen a couple of these projects launch on Ethereum and they don't do well. The inverse is the opposite. So, you know, Bitcoin ordinal projects that launch on the Bitcoin network that talk about connectivity to Ethereum have been doing really well. So if the token is born as an ordinal, it does incredibly well. If the token is born as an Ethereum ERC-20 token, the token does very poorly. That's the trend currently, and I look forward to the day that that's no longer the trend and these projects actually do well. So that's it. You know, we don't have to get too fancy with it. Let's just do a quick recap on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's pushing up to the EMA or pushing up to the moving averages again. Let's get this back over to what was it? What did I have over here before? Oh yeah, track. That's right. Oh, and one more twist of the knife, just to say I told you so, is Ethereum BTC. Ethereum BTC is still following this distribution pattern. If it takes out this low at 4.7 million sats, it'll probably go down to 3 million sats. So just a recap on this one, because a lot of people were getting in my face when we had this big move up. And I said, you know, it's an LPSY. We have to wait for it to overtake some key barriers. There's a horizontal resistance and this downtrend. And we got a rejection. So we'll see. It's not over yet. It's still a higher low currently. We'll see how this plays out. But I just don't think this is going to be an Ethereum-driven market. This cycle is not going to be an Ethereum-driven cycle. It's going to be a Bitcoin-driven cycle, and it's going to be a Solana-driven cycle. That's based off of all the evidence that's coming out to me on the TA side of things. It's going to be all about Solana, and it's going to be all about Bitcoin. Ethereum will get dragged up with the rest. This is the Bitcoin pair, remember. All right, so Bitcoin's pushing up. Coming into our moving averages, we're at the 50 and the 30. Turn log off. Like I said, you know, if we get that 13% move up, that would bring us to 13%. That would bring us to basically 43,500, and that we could see a rejection there and get us below the moving averages. If we keep closing candles below the moving averages, we'll probably get that rejection for the potential double bottom. Watch for that double bottom. If you're just joining in now and you don't know what I'm talking about on the double bottom, rewind the video because it's a very important thing. It's the comparative analysis of where we are today versus the DeFi summer of Ethereum last cycle. That is all the time I have for today. Thank you all for joining into the stream. Sorry for take one not working. The stream, wouldn't be one of my streams if it didn't break. Don't forget to check out the links below for signing up with any of the partner exchanges that would help to support our work. And if you do sign up with any of those exchanges, feel free to hop into the Discord. Go to blackbox.pro, blkbox.pro, hit the join community tab, and get into our community today. We have a ton of alpha. We've been killing it. Not financial advice. We can't predict the future, but we've been fucking killing this market. So really excited to welcome you all in. And until next time, please trade safe. It is a jungle out there. Peace.